Hey everyone, my name's Tom. I'm a self-taught polymer clay artist, and this is video 2 to a little mini series I'm doing. I'm making this crazy little creature right here. It's a slug with 9 eyes. The first video I did this armature, which has 9 appendages coming up with eyeballs attached. You probably can't see it on camera right now, but I did some epoxy sculpt work, which hardens chemically, and that was the gist of video 1. In video 2 I'm going to be working with the clay, which yay, everybody wants to. That's the funnest part. It is for me at least. So right here I have 3 different types of clay. I have this, which is the 2-part epoxy. Make sure you already see me work with this. And I have some cause clay. This clay is not yet available to the public. It'll be released this fall, so you have to wait just a little bit longer. I have early access to it because I've been invited to beta test it, which is awesome. This is also cause clay. And I have right here Super Sculpey. Everybody's familiar with this stuff. The reason I'm going to use Super Sculpey is I'm going to bulk this body out even more with Super Sculpey. I want to save the cause clay as much as possible because it's limited. I have this, all I have is 4 pounds, so I don't see the sense in wasting something so limited on something that's stationary. This is not going to bend. There's no movement involved in this. It's completely attached to this wood really well. So the idea is to bulk it out with the Super Sculpey a little bit and save on this. Also, in the last video, I didn't realize I left a small part out. I took and scuffed this up with my tool, nicked it and dinged it, and I added this little cleat here in the back. This is to ensure that the layers of clay that I put on top of this stays bonded to it. It's probably not even necessary, but it doesn't hurt to have a bit of a bite when it goes to being applied. And speaking of, I'm going to start off by putting some of this TLS on here, just a little bit, and I'll mix that in with a nylon brush. It doesn't need to be soupy anywhere. I'm just going for a tacky feeling. This is to ensure that the clay won't pop off while messing with this part, after it's baked, which I almost guarantee it would never this would never happen. This is almost entirely not necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, I got that nice and covered. Next, before I get into, working with this, I want to mix this up really quick. This is that epoxy sculpt. But I'm going to mix this up and use it to reinforce what I already have for my armature. Reason being, I was pretty confident with the strength, especially in this. There's 9 galvanized wires. Each of these wires run through this unit thing right here and into the body. So I consider this to be pretty strong. But if you see that there's movement, and I don't want any movement in this neck area. I don't want it to be posable. And someone brought up, Quiet Inspiration had brought up that, gee, I hope that neck can hold up all them eyeballs, which it got me thinking, maybe this could be reinforced a little bit more. And that's what I'm doing. I'm playing it real safe. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some of this right here. Maybe a little bit on the back side. It'll take a few hours for this to harden and 24 hours for it to be completely cured. Just a little bit more strength to this part right here. It'll reduce the amount of this going on. Okay, I'm going to now work with some Super Sculpey here. What I would like to do is start with a strip and work it. I'll stay off of this for now. I want to put this little strip right here on top of this clay, like that. And then really work it down onto that clay. There's that little cleat in the back. I'm pushing it inside it. And that's pretty much done. It's not going to come off. Between the TLS, which that's what this stuff was called, translucent liquid Sculpey. It's for adhering raw to raw or raw to baked applications. This stuff's really soft, that epoxy sculpt. It should be, strengthening up here soon. Now I'm going to go ahead and start building out the body. I have a piece of Super Sculpey here. I'm just forming it into kind of like an egg look, and put the lower end maybe a little longer. There, it's a little longer, but still eggish looking, or like a gas tank to a motorcycle. I'm putting this on here right before the end of the sculpture and working it on. I want to build out some wavy detail. If you look at the drawing, there's these little humps, and I think I'm going to try to stick to the original, like real plain looking 3 big sections. Just kind of go with that for now. If I want to do some kind of crazy details after the fact, I can always do that. But now I'm going to rip off another section, and I'm not measuring the amount of clay, which is probably an unusual thing to see, because usually I'm always really particular about my methods. I'm trying not to be too technical. Here I just did the same thing. The more you mash down on it, the less height you'll have. And I'll probably bake this Super Sculpey first. The thicker this clay, the longer you have to bake typically. So if I were to bake all this, properly, it would over bake my appendages. I don't want this to mash down on this epoxy sculpt that much, so I'm going to channel it with this brush. Pulling down on the sides. Coming back with a little bit more Super Sculpey where these 2 parts meet. This helps merge that clay together a little easier. I don't have to be overly critical on this because there's going to be some more on top. There's a trick to working with these types of clays. You can drag the clay to a certain extent and blend very nicely. You just got to be careful about how much you do it so you don't go to pulling and tearing. That looks pretty cool. Looks pretty slug-like already. Some of you are like, Tom, have you ever seen a slug? Okay, so it's a fantasy slug. I think I'm going to let this epoxy sculpt that's underneath the Super Sculpey right here, I'm going to let this cure a little bit because I'm noticing I'm mushing it out towards the neck area, which is fine, it's not hurting anything. But before I continue, I want it to harden up a little bit. That way I don't further alter it. For those of you who watched the last video and secretly thought, Tom, these things are way too long. This is the new length. This will make it easier on me. Not only will it take less clay, but it's the proportion. These are just not really proportioned well with the rest of the body. I think they're too long. They're just too long. So this is to make it look a little better and to save just a wee little bit of clay. Right now I'm going to add some more clay right here and do this flange going around it. So I got me a ball of clay right here, and I want to just shape the end of it and pinch it a little bit. Leave one end high and the other end low. This part right here will be the foot, like the front part of the slug that reaches out a little bit. And this part will go up onto the body. The tall part will go up towards the body. Alright, so here we are. I didn't realize the angle was so drastic right here. So I'm going to fold this upwards to try to match that angle a little bit. I really got nothing specific going on anymore. It's just a kind of flattened out, mishappened shape. But now I'm going to push it up against that creature like this. See what it's got going on there? Trying to push it back even further because it doesn't need to be this big, the foot thing. And then I'm dragging this up towards the rest. Same thing with the side. I can pull it back towards the rest of it a little bit there. Now I just want to plug this hole in right here with some more Super Sculpey. This is still Super Sculpey I'm working with. All this clay right here is Super Sculpey. That's to cut down the usage of the cause clay. And drag it back and forth a few times. It somewhat smooths and blends. Fairly easy. I'm not going to worry about how rough this looks because I'm going to add this flange going around it. Same thing on this side. I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the other side. You have to do the same on both sides. Otherwise you're not going to have any kind of symmetry. That actually worked easier than the other side. Maybe this is the good side. Now I just need to drag this like that. Okay, I have this long snake right here. I'm gonna cut it in half where it's somewhat even. That'll allow me to work with this on both sides. I'm tapering the ends to where they're sharp somewhat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first test fit this to see how long it is. That looks almost, I mean it's a little short here in the end, but I think I can just taper that in too. Perfect. That's perfect. So now I know I need to taper this end as well on the other one. Now what I want to do is lay them out flat like this, and I'm going to pinch one side of it. This is going to make it have a teardrop shape all down the side of it. So this is what we wind up having. Before I apply it to there, I'm going to add a little bit of the TLS, just a few spots of it. This kind of ensures that the clay bonds to itself. You can use it for raw on raw applications like this, not just for attaching baked clay to raw clay, or raw clay to baked clay. If you just want to enhance the bonding effect, then obviously you use this. But I'm rubbing it in evenly. I don't want it thick anywhere. Now I'll apply this to the little slug guy, and I'm pushing like the top side of it to the body is the best I can. Same thing up here. Run my finger down a little bit, take out the waves that I just put in it for the most part. That's looking pretty cool. Then we want to look at it from the front like this to make sure it has good symmetry and it's just aesthetically correct, because it can get a little weird. Now I'm going to take a much tinier snake and go up underneath where I just put this snake on. Press it up on there. This is to try to merge those two pieces together in a seamless manner to where it doesn't look like I added a part. A creature shouldn't look like parts and pieces and bits. It should look like the creature. So it's kind of a trick to, you have to make it all blend. Yeah, I suppose that's the term. This is blending that piece onto this foot thing. Yeah, that is definitely what we're doing. We're blending. Now we want to do the same for this other side. One more tiny snake. We're going to smash it carefully. First up in its little corner, like this. And then you can work on getting it to both sides, both, parts, pieces. Blending it to that. That looks good. I think this looks good. Now this is just a basic shape, the basic form. It's not the finished product. I'll probably come on top of this with another layer of clay so I could do my details and stuff. But this will get baked first. That'll also allow me to have a foundation to work on. We'll put a little bit more here in this corner right here. Okay. Check it from back here. See what this is, because we didn't really focus on this back end right here. This, looking at it long ways too, will help me get an idea of how wide the areas are. I don't want it too wide anywhere. So anywhere it's kind of went out crazy a little bit, I can just scooch it back in. Okay, I'm liking this. Now I think I'll leave this alone where you can tell that it's two items together. It won't look like that when it's done, but what I'm thinking is I could just, if I go messing with it, it's going to change things that I don't want changed. I can bake this and then add one thin layer of cause clay to shell this, so to speak. And all my details can be added to that new layer of clay. So I'm going to bake this for about 1 hour because it is at least an inch thick here and here and here. There's a little clay underneath it. Remember, that was that epoxy sculpt, but this is still a lot of clay. The reason I'm baking this first before continuing is if I were to bake this to proper temperature, these eyeball tentacles, whatever you would call them, appendages, those would be way over baked, and it would compromise the flexibility aspect of this new clay. So in order to achieve proper baking all over the sculpture, I'm going to bake this thick area first. Also, this is going to be underneath additional clay, so it doesn't matter how it will look. This is just to get this caught up with the rest of it. So basically, I'll have one more final baking and I'll be done. So let me put this in the oven for about 1 hour at 275 degrees, and I will be right back. Okay guys, this pretty much closes up this video of the series. I feel like what I've done in this video is probably the most complex part of the sculpting. What's left is literally just so simple, I could probably squeeze it all in one final video. About the videos, I want to try to make shorter videos to help with uploading a little more frequently. I think the longer videos are kind of overwhelming for me, and it'd be easier and better for me in anyways to upload shorter videos. Also, I just had a birthday. I turned 40, and my wife took off 8 days so we can just, hang out with each other and binge watch some Netflix, because that's what you do when you're 40. You just watch Netflix. You don't do anything else. But what I'm trying to say is it's been a while since my last video, and at least that's an 8-day excuse, I guess. I'm sitting here writing myself a tardy letter. Just spending time with her and all. So this video would have been 8 days sooner. Anyways, no regrets on my end, but I do apologize, for the wait. But I want to try to make some changes to make these videos more frequent. And I think shortening them a little bit, at least not 40 minutes, but will help me a lot because I won't get overwhelmed with the editing. But that pretty much is everything to report. I really appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch this. As always, thumbs up the video and drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. There's plenty to talk about, or just say hello. I appreciate it. I really do. So until next time, I will see you all here again soon. Thank you so much for watching. You're all awesome. Bye-bye.